Are you ready to step into a world that few have ever seen, a place where the truth is hidden behind a curtain of discipline and where people are suffocated by a tightly controlled system? This is the harsh reality unfolding within the North Korean military, where thousands of women are forced to live in an environment where human rights are virtually non-existent. They are not only under strict control, but also subjected to countless injustices, coerced into doing things no one dares to imagine within a system that offers almost no way out. Life in the military is not only physically grueling, but also mentally brutal. There are units known as service squads, where many women are compelled to take on private duties that last day and night. Those who refuse or speak out risk being expelled from the military or facing severe disciplinary action. Some women, upon becoming pregnant under unwanted circumstances, are forced to go to extreme lengths to hide it, even terminating the pregnancy themselves through dangerous methods, just to avoid falling deeper under the military's strict surveillance. Many must bathe in cold water during harsh weather, suffer from poor nutrition, and lack even the most basic personal hygiene products, including sanitary pads. For them, surviving each day is already a battle. 12. The Pleasure Squad, the unbelievable dark side of North Korea's military. Hidden deep within North Korea's web of strict control lies a shocking secret, a system with a name that few outsiders could imagine, bearing such a grim reality: the Pleasure Squad. This organization is not new. It was established during the era of Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-un's grandfather, and has been preserved through generations of leadership. Although it was briefly suspended after the death of Kim Jong-il in 2015, Kim Jong-un revived the program, pushing thousands of young women into a life of near total control, where they are selected, categorized, and assigned roles based on bizarre standards. No one enters this system willingly. Those chosen must meet strict criteria. Their height must not exceed 165 centimeters, and their appearance must match the unspoken preferences of the leadership. The women are divided into 3 groups, each with very different tasks, from providing personal services to high-ranking officials, to performing at private events or working in exclusive relation services. It may appear as though they're serving the country. In reality, they are serving a privileged elite cut off from the outside world, living in isolated zones and always on standby waiting for a call. Their time of service isn't just a few months or even a year. It can last decades when their duty ends. Many are forced to marry military officers as part of a so-called reintegration plan, which in truth is just another layer of control over their lives. Some have received rewards upon leaving the squad, such as cash or household items, as if the years they lost could be compensated with material goods. And when the squad was re-established in 2015, once again, these women were pulled back into the same vicious cycle, where they have no choice, no voice, and no right to say no. Can you imagine your entire life being dictated by someone else, from how you look to where you live, to whom you're allowed to marry? These women may seem strong on the outside, but inside they are fighting a silent war, living a life that was never truly there. 7. Abuse is not uncommon. In the North Korean military, abuse is not an isolated incident. It is a regular part of daily life. Many former service members have shared that threats, coercion, and strict control were routine. Some officers exploited their authority to commit unethical acts, often disguising them as medical checkups. Female soldiers are often forced to remain silent. Speaking up could mean being removed from potential opportunities or expelled from political organizations, a lifeline for many. For those who became pregnant due to coercion, keeping it a secret and dealing with it on their own became the only option, even if it put their health or lives at serious risk. Some tightened their stomachs with military belts, took unknown pills, or even inflicted harm on themselves to hide the truth. Meanwhile, the perpetrators remain untouched. They continue to hold their positions, wielding power unchecked. The victims, however, are silenced, living in fear, enduring pain that lasts far beyond the incident. How long will this continue? When will the buried voices finally be heard? 10. When the dream of university becomes a military order, you might think getting into university is a gateway to the future. But in North Korea, it can be just a stepping stone into the army. Every year on March 1st, thousands of students are swept up in the whirlwind of recruitment season. Grand ceremonies are held, banners are raised. But behind the spectacle are military summons that cannot be refused. One resident from North Hamgyong province said that while young men might delay service by entering university, many female students aren't given that option. They're listed among the elite selection, but in reality, it's just another forced draft wrapped in flattering language. Once enlisted, these girls must leave their families, their friends, and abandon any personal dreams. No days off, no turning back. Only long months of isolation. They are told this is an honor, a sacred duty. But how many truly believe that? 9. The harsh life of North Korean female soldiers, when promises are just illusions. When people think of the military, they often imagine discipline, honor, and national service. But for many women in the North Korean army, those ideals only exist on paper. The reality they face is one of prolonged hardship, deprivation, and silent endurance. At first, young women are promised stability, good benefits, and career opportunities, but what they actually get is just enough food to survive. A bland bowl of white rice, a few plain vegetables, and some watery soup. Basic foods, like eggs or meat, are considered luxuries, seen only on special occasions like Lunar New Year or the leader's birthday. And what about their living conditions? They sleep on mattresses, stuffed with rice, husks, materials that absorb moisture and make each night a physical struggle. Cramped rooms, lacking electricity, clean water, and often even privacy. Before 2015, the shortage of sanitary pads forced many female soldiers to resort to makeshift alternatives, posing long-term health risks. Even bathing, a basic necessity, became a challenge. Freezing water gushed from old pipes, sending chills through their bodies, and sometimes brought along unwanted guests like frogs or snakes from outdated plumbing. This wasn't just fear. It was a clear sign of the deteriorating infrastructure and disregard for personal well-being. Worse still, women in the military are almost always expected to take a step back. Their needs come after men's, and their words are rarely taken seriously. Trapped in a rigid hierarchy with no room for dissent, these female soldiers are caught in a system that offers no way out. 8. When rest becomes a luxury. In North Korea's military, the concept of rest is not as simple as we might think. For many female soldiers, it's a distant dream. Something so rare, it might as well not exist. Their day begins before dawn and doesn't end until long after night falls. Even then, their minds must remain alert. Their responsibilities go far beyond grueling military drills. They're expected to clean the barracks, cook for the entire unit, and take part in hard labor, such as digging, hauling rocks, and working in the fields under harsh weather conditions. Images of female soldiers working relentlessly under the blazing sun, backs soaked in sweat, hands gripping shovels, once went viral in a documentary video online. These scenes didn't just showcase their endurance, but also raised a painful question. Do they ever get a real break? Former soldier Sun Jong recalled, "After 6 months of harsh training, I thought we'd finally have time to recover. But no, we were immediately assigned to another round of non-stop tasks." Even leave is a privilege, not a right. Unless a soldier excels in training or other duties, most never experience what could truly be called a vacation. Military life becomes an endless cycle where every minute is tied to duty and discipline. 7. When duty becomes an inescapable command. Since the 1990s, after famine and a critical shortage of manpower, North Korea began enforcing mandatory military service for women, a decision seen as a last resort in desperate times. By 2015, military enlistment was no longer optional. It became compulsory, and to qualify, women had to pass strict physical and health exams, the minimum height requirement, 142 centimeters, though this rule was flexible, especially when connections or influence came into play. In earlier years, many women volunteered, hoping for social mobility or state-sponsored privileges. But those hopes gradually faded as the regime tightened control, turning voluntary enlistment into enforced conscription. From that point on, life in the army became a long stretch of silence, strict rules, and at times, quiet despair. 6. The badge of honor, a dream or a burden. In North Korean society, where every opportunity is tightly controlled, one thing weighs heavily on the minds of many female soldiers throughout their years of service, gaining admission to the Workers' Party. For them, this is not just a title. It is a key to a different future, one where they can rise above poverty, access advancement opportunities, and gain recognition. Many of these women come from poor rural areas where even a full meal is considered a blessing. For them, that party card symbolizes a path to a better life, a dream nurtured since their youth. But the road to that dream is anything but easy. Some women spend the prime of their youth, 7 years or more in the military, tirelessly devoting themselves not just to their assigned duties, but also to silent contributions like repairing barracks or supporting infrastructure projects, all in the hope of one day being accepted into the party ranks. A mother from North Pyongyang province once tearfully shared her daughter's story. Despite sacrificing time, effort, and even money to prove her loyalty, the girl never received the coveted nod. The disappointment wasn't hers alone. It weighed heavily on the pride of the entire family. Another heartbreaking case in South Hwanghae province involved a father who spent his life savings hoping to help his daughter meet the standards for party admission. But in the end, he bitterly confessed, "If she comes back without a party card, people will think she's worthless." His words reflect a harsh truth in a society where honor is tied to that little card. The cost of chasing it may be too great for many to bear. In a system where value is measured By loyalty and contributions, the dream of becoming a party member can slowly turn into a burden, a silent pressure that many carry without words. 5. Steel discipline. Unspoken terrors. In North Korea's military, discipline is not just expected, it's an inescapable fate for female soldiers. It's not only about physical endurance, but a mental battle where even the smallest mistake can have serious consequences. Former soldier Jennifer Kim recalled that even an unintentional misstep could result in the entire unit being punished. In such an environment, the idea of fairness becomes fragile, and anxiety becomes a constant companion. To build resilience and willpower, female troops undergo extreme training designed to push human limits. At times, they are forced to stand in freezing temperatures for hours with minimal protection, all to prove they can endure. Like true warriors, and that's not all. Grueling physical tests, such as running multiple laps while fully geared, are a regular part of life. Some training even targets mental endurance, such as submerging hands in icy water, meant to sharpen perseverance and tolerance for pain. Though labeled willpower training, these methods prompt a deeper question. How far should human endurance be pushed? Compared to many other armies worldwide, the intensity and approach of North Korea's military training can be shocking. For these women, military life is more than serving the nation. It's a quiet, daily struggle against their own limits. For the harsh life of North Korean female soldiers, have you ever wondered about the daily life of women in North Korea's military? They live in a world where there is no room for weakness. Every day is a test of both physical and mental endurance, where persistence and sacrifice become synonyms for survival. You might think that all they have to do is endure grueling military drills, but the reality is far more brutal. Beyond the physical training, they are also tasked with backbreaking labor that no one is allowed to refuse. From tilling endless fields to hauling firewood and carrying heavy stones on their backs, they do it all without a single complaint. But their work doesn't end there. When the sun sets and other soldiers are allowed to rest, the female soldiers continue working. They are responsible for the domestic upkeep of the entire unit, from preparing meals to keeping the living quarters clean. There is no time for themselves, not a single moment of relaxation. Their lives are a continuous chain of tasks, bound tightly to duty and responsibility with no room for protest. What makes their life even more tragic and cruel are the living conditions. They share cramped sleeping quarters with over 20 others. Each bunk bed barely fits one person and comes with just a small drawer for personal belongings. Privacy is a luxury they don't have. Every corner of the room is adorned with portraits of the leaders Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, and Kim Jong-un, constant reminders of their obligation to serve the regime. And here's something few people know. Malnutrition is a serious issue for them. The lack of food and basic necessities is a daily struggle. They shoulder a double burden, serving as soldiers and caretakers of the unit. Yet their efforts are rarely acknowledged. They work tirelessly, but their sacrifices remain unseen and unappreciated. 3. Marriage without choice, a social duty for North Korean female soldiers. After completing their military service, North Korean female soldiers don't just walk away from hardship. Instead, they are met with another brutal reality that few know about: arranged marriages. For them, marriage is not a matter of love or personal choice. It is a duty imposed by the state. In a society where loyalty to the regime is valued above all else, their life partners are often not chosen by them, but appointed by the state. These men are usually those who have proven their loyalty to the regime, or simply men whom the government has decided need a wife. These marriages are not beginnings of love stories, but strategic arrangements meant to reinforce loyalty and uphold patriarchal values. Their weddings are unlike the ones we might imagine. There's no private space for sharing feelings, only their participation in a nationalistic ritual. Clad in traditional wedding attire, couples go to lay flowers at the foot of the statues of Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il, the ultimate symbols of the state. And just a day later, they return to work, continuing their service to the regime, with no time to get to know one another or build a connection. Marriage for them is not a journey in search of love. It is an order. In this world, personal emotions are dismissed in favor of absolute obedience. Imagine living a life where freedom of choice is stripped away, where every decision, even about who you marry, is made for you. That is the reality for North Korean female soldiers within a society where love and personal happiness are not theirs to decide. 2. Forbidden contact, a life of total isolation. Imagine being a North Korean female soldier, and for a full 7 years you must live completely cut off from the outside world. No casual conversations, no warm greetings. You are strictly forbidden from contacting civilians. You cannot meet friends. You cannot see your family. Your life is ruled by an iron system of regulations where all social connections are severed. Taking a leave of absence. Forget it. The concept of rest is almost non-existent. You cannot visit home. You cannot hug your loved ones after long days of exhausting training. When homesickness sets in, your only connection to the outside world is through handwritten letters. But even those letters are tightly controlled. Every word you write is subject to inspection and possible censorship. And if one day you accidentally break the rules, the punishment will be beyond anything you can imagine. You could be expelled from the military on the spot. And what's even more frightening are the mysterious forms of punishment that follow. No one knows what will happen next. It's a punishment without any warning, without any explanation. Although military service may offer a few benefits, such as slightly better job prospects, after discharge, the price is steep. Only a small elite group, usually in the military's performance art troops, are given preferential treatment. They avoid the harshest duties and enjoy better food thanks to their artistic talents. But for the vast majority of female soldiers, life is a long, painful journey filled with hardship, without reward or comfort. Strict beauty standards, control over every detail. Imagine a life where every aspect of your daily routine is monitored. How you dress, whether you wear nail polish, even what kind of skincare products you use. In North Korea, not even your appearance can escape the regime's control. Did you know that every beauty product from lipstick to lotion must undergo strict inspection? This isn't just a simple rule. It's part of a rigid ideology imposed by the government. This control dates back to the post-World War II era, when North and South Korea diverged politically and culturally. Things like red lipstick, which in many parts of the world symbolize freedom and individuality, are considered too bold and incompatible with the regime's ideals. Just think about it. A bold lip color, which women across the globe view as a symbol of empowerment and self-expression, is banned simply because it clashes with the harsh values dictated by the state. And yet, Despite how strict these rules are, North Korean women don't simply submit. Without question, an underground cosmetics market has quietly flourished, where beauty products are smuggled in with great discretion. This isn't just an act of breaking the law, it's a symbol of silent but powerful resistance, a quiet rebellion against the government-imposed beauty standards. However, not everyone can take part in this beauty revolution. To maintain complete control, the government has established state-run cosmetic companies, ensuring that every product, from face cream to lipstick, adheres strictly to regime-approved standards, with no room to step beyond the lines they have drawn. We've just explored one of the lesser-known aspects of life for women in North Korea, a world where every move is monitored and every small choice is dictated. Are you surprised by the level of control or overwhelmed by the challenges these women face? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. See you next time on another journey of discovery.